Eliminate, therefore, any possible tendency to complain of conditions as they are or as they have been, because it rests with you, with us, to change them and to make them what we'd like for them to be. This is the Master Key System by Charles Honnell. This is part 3. And in part 3, we're going to continue our discussion as it relates to the conscious and subconscious mind, more pointed toward the subconscious mind and the power that resides therein. The cerebrospinal system is the organ of the conscious mind, and the sympathetic is the organ of the subconscious. The cerebrospinal is the channel through which we receive conscious perception from physical senses and exercise control over the movements of this body. The system of nerves has its center in the brain. The sympathetic, however, has its center in a gangliotic mass at the back of our stomach known as the solar plexus, and is the channel of the mental action which unconsciously supports the vital functions of our body. Our breathing, our heartbeat, our eyes blinking, all the necessary functions of our body that we do not consciously support. We've seen that every thought is received by the brain, which is the organ of the conscious. It is here subjected to our power of reasoning. When the objective mind has been satisfied that the thought is true, it is then sent to the solar plexus, or the brain of the subconscious mind, to be made into flesh, or to be brought forth into the world as reality. It is then no longer susceptible to any argument whatsoever. The subconscious mind cannot argue. It only acts. It accepts the conclusions of the objective mind as final. We spoke at length in chapter 2 regarding the conscious mind and its responsibility to the subconscious mind. We said then that the subconscious mind, or the conscious mind rather, is the guardian, the gatekeeper, if you will, of content, of information that is flowing through into the subconscious mind. And we talked about how important it is to always make sure that that gatekeeper is alert and on duty. Now, when the solar plexus is in active operation and is radiating life, energy, and vitality to every part of the body, to everyone whom he meets, the sensations are pleasant. The body is filled with health, and all whom he comes in contact with has a pleasant experience. If there is any interruption of this radiation, the sensations are unpleasant. The flow of life and energy to come to some parts of the body is stopped, and this is the cause of ill to the human race, physical, mental, or environmental. Honnell is speaking here to the flow of energy within our bodies, within our 7 chakras, within our chakra system. When that flow of life, that life force is interrupted in our body, we can expect illness. We can expect to feel discomfort. We can expect to exhibit low vibratory or low vibrations. So when we come in contact with people, that will be sensed. And likewise, when the energy systems are at their peak, when the energy is flowing through the body is operating at its maximum capacity. There's health, there's wealth, there are good thoughts. All of this comes with good energy flow. Physical, because the sun of the body is no longer generating sufficient energy to vital parts of the body. Mental, because the conscious mind is dependent upon the subconscious mind for the vitality necessary to support its thought. And environmental, because the connection between the subconscious mind and the universal mind is being interrupted. Conscious thought, then, is the master of this sun center, from which the life and energy of the entire body flows, and the quality of the thought which we entertain determines the quality of thought which this sun will radiate. And the character of the thought which our conscious mind entertains will determine the character of thought with which this sun will radiate. And the nature of the thought which our conscious mind entertains will determine the nature of thought which this sun will radiate. And consequently, it will also determine the nature of the experience which will result. Basically saying your thoughts have power, and it influences the flow of energy in your body. It is evident, therefore, that all we have to do is let our light shine. The more energy we can radiate, the more rapidly we should be enabled to transmute undesirable conditions into sources of pleasure and profit. Now, non-resistant thought expands the solar plexus. Resistant thought contracts it. Non-resistant thought. Part of our exercise for chapter 2 was to simply let our thoughts flow. Not to wrestle them, not to correct them, not to engage in them, not to create elaborate stories in our minds about, different solutions or scenarios, but just allow our thoughts to be. And many times suffering comes when we are wrestling mentally, daily, with thoughts and events that have not even occurred or may never occur, but it is bringing so much unrest. And that type of resistant thought contracts our solar plexus. It contracts the very brain and the very center of our subconscious mind. Now, a pleasant thought expands the solar plexus. Unpleasant thought contracts it. Thoughts of courage, power, confidence, and hope all produce a corresponding state. But the one arch enemy of the solar plexus, which must be absolutely destroyed before there is any possibility of letting any light shine in, is fear. This enemy must be completely destroyed. He must be eliminated. He must be expelled forever. He is the cloud which hides the sun, which causes a perpetual gloom. Now, when you find that you're really one with your infinite power, and when you can consciously realize this power by a practical demonstration of your ability to overcome any adverse condition by the power of your very own thought, you will have nothing to fear. Fear will have been destroyed, and you will have come into possession of your birthright. For me, for years, struggling through religiosity and different concepts and trying to find myself there, I never really felt confident. I never really felt free. There was always systematically some sort of fear element within that particular practice. And because of that, I feel like I did not and I was not able to achieve what I'm able to achieve today using a more clear conceptual idea of who I am and the power that I possess within me. The power of thought, the power of directing my mind to the ends that I desire, understanding my connectivity to the universal mind, understanding my connectivity to the universe. It is our attitude of mind towards life which determines the experiences with which we are to meet. If we expect nothing, we shall have nothing. If we demand much, we shall receive the greater portion. This knowledge can be gained only by making practical application of this information. We learn by doing. Through practice, the athlete becomes powerful. Here, Hanel is referring directly to visualization. Visualization is such a powerful tool in the law of attraction, in developing higher levels of consciousness, in achieving your goals. The power in visualization is you're seeing the end, and what Neville Goddard refers to as living in the end. The Bible says, when you pray, believe now that you have received it and you shall have it. The belief now is a visualization. It is not physically yours. You're not physically there. That life partner is not physically with you. The weight is not physically off of your body. The finances are not physically in your bank account. But the instruction is to believe that this has occurred. Your thought has power. Your thought, your words have power to then create the desired result. Now, you've already learned that the subconscious is intelligent and that it's creative and responsive to the will of the conscious mind. What then is the most natural way of making the desired impression? Well, we just talked about it. Mentally concentrate on the object of your desire. When you are concentrating, you are impressing the subconscious. This is not the only way, but is a simple and effective way, and the most direct way, and consequently the way in which the best results are secured. Why? Well, the subconscious mind is a part of the universal mind. The universal is the creative principle of the universe. A part must be the same in kind and quality as the whole. We talked about this in chapter 2. This means that this creative power is absolutely unlimited. It is not bound by precedent of any kind, and consequently has no prior existing pattern by which to apply its constructive principle. Now, when you're making a practical application of this principle, in accordance with the exercises that we've talked about in chapter 1 and in chapter 2, it is well to remember that it is not necessary to outline the method in which the subconscious will produce your results. So in other words, when you are meditating, when you are doing your visualization exercises, don't bother with figuring out how you're going to lose the weight, or when she or he is coming into your life, or where they will come from, or how am I going to get this job, or who will bring me this money, or how will I obtain this money. Your goal is only to concentrate on the results that you desire. So, for example, if you are living in an apartment, and actually I'm going to give you a personal example, because if you think about where you are in life and you think about how you achieve anything, usually, and for me, I'm going to say almost 10 out of 10, it has occurred this way. When I go back over my life and I look at how I am now living in the home that I'm living in, how I'm now married to the person that I'm married to the names of my children, all of this I spent significant time thinking about, significant time dwelling on. Now, I did not know these principles. I did not understand or have ever heard of law of attraction. I only spent time thinking about things, and in those days, I really entertained a lot of different thoughts. A lot of times I was thinking about stuff that I didn't want to happen, and it happened because I thought about it so much. You know, the fear that we're talking about, that's why it needs to be destroyed, because fear has the same energy as love. It is just on the opposite end of the spectrum, and it is able to bring to you the things that you don't desire. The Bible says, Job said very clearly, the things that I have feared have now come upon me. It is very much beneficial to you to concentrate on wanted, the things that you want, as opposed to the things that you don't want. Should I make pretend like the things that I don't want are not happening? Should I make pretend as if I'm uncomfortable and the things around me are not affecting me? Yes, you should do that. When you pray, believe now that you've received and you shall have. Your mind, your imagination is more powerful than you know. And as we go through these chapters, you're going to understand and benefit from the use of your subconscious mind. Now, this week, we're going to have a different exercise, and I'm going to get into it in just a second. But it's important that if you have not listened to chapters 1 and chapter 2, that you go back and listen to those so that you will be appraised and aware of what the initial exercises were before I get into the exercise for this particular chapter. Now, for this chapter, the exercise is more pointed towards your desire. So what we're going to ask for you today, and this is directly coming from chapter 3. If I didn't mention to you before how the book is outlined, it's more of a manual read. It's not more of a novel or anything like that. It was suggested to only do a chapter a week to students. I was so excited about the content when I first read the book that I really just dove into it, and I just couldn't put it down. And I read the whole book, and I ended up going back and I did the exercises week by week, but I wanted to absorb and consume as much content as I could. So it's up to you how you do it, but I'm going to outline as Hanel has listed here in the book so that you will be going point by point. Okay? All right, so for the exercise this week, you're going to ask to go a step further from weeks 1 and week 2. And remember, step 1 or chapter 1 was simply to find yourself a place where you can sit and be still. That exercise was more focused on the physical body. A lot of people are not able to sit still for large amounts of time, so 15 to 30 minutes was the ask. The chapter 2 exercise was to sit still, so building on chapter 1, and just allow your thoughts to flow. Okay? We're going to do something a little different this week. We're going to sit still. We're going to inhibit our thoughts and only concentrate on the things that we want. So if you want to not only be perfectly still and inhibit all thought as far as possible, but relax, let go, let the muscles take their normal condition. This is going to remove all the pressure from your nerves and eliminate the tension, which frequently produces physical discomfort or, being exhausted. Physical relaxation is a voluntary exercise, and the will and the exercise will be found to be of great value. Now, it enables the body and the blood to circulate freely from the brain and throughout the body. This is important because to relieve yourself of tension and stress, it opens up and allows your solar plexus to just relax. And of course, we were talking earlier about the solar plexus, the importance of the solar plexus and the function thereof in terms of it being the seat of the subconscious mind. So that's our exercise for this week. Again, we're building, and I know a lot of you are further into meditational practices and things like that, and so am I. But I think going back, reading this book, and I've read it a number of times because in this practice, or on this path, I should say, it's important that we remind ourselves what our foundation is. Because as we go further and further into different ideology or extending this ideology, we've got to make sure our foundation is still solid. And Charles Hanel and the Master Key System really set forth for me my foundation. So that's why I go back. I reread this book time after time, and the information is still as solid, and it still comforts me, and it still instructs me as to why I'm doing what I'm doing and the fact that it is workable, and it does work. So again, this week, we're going to take our seat, hopefully in our same room, 15 to 30 minutes. We're going to be still. And in this case, we're going to inhibit any negative thoughts. We're only going to think on positive things, if at all. If you feel like you can inhibit your thoughts and just let your thoughts flow, then do that. But the point of the exercise this week is relaxation. Relaxation. We want to relax because the solar plexus is going to function much better in a relaxed state. As we get deeper into the practice, you'll find out why this exercise is so important. So, hope you learned something today. Thanks for joining. And as always, check out the comments below. I'm sure we have a gift, a free download or something like that there for you that can benefit you and continue to benefit you in your practice as you're on the path.